Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Goalie here. Welcome back to another epic Polytopia video. Very special video for you guys here today. A new major update for Polytopia has been announced. It's the Naval rework, and it is currently open for beta testing right now. Today, I'm going to be going through the post that was put on the Steam page. I'm going to be reading all the changes and giving my thoughts on them and theorizing and whatnot, and then we'll go from there. First of all, look at this graphic. This is some cool stuff here. Starfish? What the heck? We're back with a brand new major update for you. The aptly named Path of the Ocean, formerly known as the Naval rework. We've taken some time to pretty much fully rework how the naval game is played, adding new units, mechanics, and poking everything that merely looks at the water. Battleship spam is dumb. True. And we can promise you that it's now a thing of the past. Okay, I'm already liking the sound of that. Looks like we have 7 sections here. Tech tree changes, new units, new buildings, the special tribes, other important changes, and a couple of other things. So first and foremost, of course, this is a beta update, so anything that I say could change by the time the actual update comes out, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so they've posted the fishing branch here, and there's already some interesting stuff going on here. If you look at this picture, you'll notice that we've put ports into fishing. Yes, that means that everyone has access to the water far faster than before. Putting ports in fishing gives us the possibility to use the whole fishing branch for naval stuff, instead of just the sailing branch. To help you get into the naval game from the start, ports have also had their costs reduced to 7 stars, but their population brought down to 1. Putting a unit onto a port will turn it into a defenseless raft, which makes for easy transporting across shallow water. We'll talk more about the raft and other units in a bit. Okay, so that's interesting. They've moved ports into the fishing tech, which means all you need to get on the water now is just fishing. And they brought down their cost too, but now they only give 1 population? Interesting stuff. So I guess Kiku starts with the ability to just plop down a port whenever they want. It'll be interesting to see how strong they are in this beta. Maybe they won't be that bad, who knows? Looks like there are also a couple other boats in this picture here. We'll take a look at them momentarily, I'm sure. Sailing is now home to the Nimble Scout, a fast and observant unit that replaces the ship. You'll also be able to take any of your naval units on the ocean when you get this tech. Okay, so it's kind of like getting navigation earlier. That's interesting. Okay, so navigation gives you access to the Mighty Bomber, a ship that can cause massive collateral damage, but is quite slow and clunky. In addition to that, we've added Starfish as a replacement to whales. To harvest them, you need to move one of your units to the tile they are on. This new mechanic also means that you can harvest starfish in neutral or enemy territory, so make sure to gobble them up before your opponents do. Okay, that's really interesting. So there's like a much larger incentive to get on the water earlier, so you can scoop up those starfish before your opponents can. Interesting. And now it's in the navigation branch, whereas, whaling was towards like aquaticism and all that. And now on to the other side of the brand. Whaling has been changed to aquaculture. Since ports no longer make 2 population, that job has been handed to aqua farms, which are simply farms on the water. They cost 5 stars and give you 2 population, just as a farm would. This tech also adds the Rammer, a sturdy melee assault ship that's good for taking over coastal cities. Yo, did they add bridges? Bridges will help you get over those small gaps in the land and might allow you to bypass the need for naval on some maps. Interesting. I thought I heard Mijiwan say at one point that he didn't want to add like bridges or anything like that, but maybe I'm mistaken on that. Gone are the boat, ship, and battleship, and in come the raft, scout, rammer, bomber, and juggernaut. When placing a unit into a port, they'll become a raft, but a raft can be upgraded into any of the other naval unit types, barring the juggernaut, assuming you have the proper tech and you're in friendly territory. Also worth noting is that pirates and dinghies are still in, they just haven't been adjusted any and don't factor into this update. So does that mean that like, if you want to upgrade a ship, you have to be within your city borders? That's actually really cool. I guess it forces you to like plan your navy a bit better instead of just doing it on the fly and responding to what your opponent does. I guess it also makes more sense just like logically speaking. You can't really, in real life, you wouldn't upgrade a boat in the middle of the ocean into a battleship. Okay, here's the raft. A simple naval unit that does a job and does it well. The raft replaces the boat, functioning as a defenseless means of getting on the water and transporting your land units. Flimsy, but free. They function as the base unit that can be upgraded into a scout, rammer, or bomber when in friendly territory. I didn't even count how many new units we have. So boat, ship, and battleship are gone, but we have raft, scout, rammer, bomber, and juggernaut. And then we also have the pirates and dinghies. So there are now 7 naval units. Ooh, that's a lot. We're gonna have some fun with this update. I mean, it's been a while since we've gotten a big update. I think diplomacy came out like, I want to say a year and a half ago? Don't quote me on that. Okay, so rafts have float and carry, 2 movement, 0 attack, 2 defense. Oh, interesting. So yeah, they're just there to move units around. Here's the Scout. A boat so cool you'll ship yourself. Okay, very funny. The battleship did a lot of things at once, so we chopped it up and spread it around into the new units. The Scouts got, you guessed it, Scout. They speed around the waters, exploring new lands, and using their ranged attack to whittle down units. Quite fragile, but still a good all-around unit that can get you a quick advantage over your opponents. I'm liking the new models for these ships, they look pretty cool. 5 stars with float, carry, dash, and scout. 3 movement, 2 attack, 1 defense, 2 range. Okay, so yeah, they're just pretty nimble, speedy boys. Here is the Rammer. Rammers are melee ships designed to work their way through a crowd and assassinate targets or capture a city. They're strong, durable, and speedy. Think of them like swordsmen on the water, more or less. That sounds pretty scary. 5 stars, float, carry, dash, and sneak. 3 movement, 3 attack, 3 defense, 1 range. That sounds pretty good on paper. And I've already heard some people in the Polychamps community discussing the Rammer. That looks pretty good. We'll have to play around with that. Oh, look at these guys. The Bomber is effectively a retooled battleship, one put into more of a bombarding role. Functioning similarly to catapults, bombers are 3-range units that also have splash, allowing them to hit not just a target, but also any adjacent targets. Fantastic for weakening a land defense and letting your rammers establish a beachhead. Of course, this extreme power comes at a cost. They don't have dash, and they're fairly expensive. Much like catapults, bombers need time to set up before they can dish out their tremendous damage, and that time they'll need help defending themselves. Interesting. So yeah, that'll be good for like hitting any catapults and archers that are like chilling and grilling, defending islands and stuff. 15 stars with float, carry, and splash, 3 movement, 4 attack, 2 defense, 3 range. And yeah, they don't have dash, so you need to like set them up before they can attack. Like a catapult, yeah. 4 attack, dang, that's gonna melt stuff. The Juggernaut. So we didn't want 40 HP bombers becoming a thing, and that meant we had to get creative. Meet the Juggernaut, which is what happens if you put a giant onto a port. No upgrading required. They're strong, they're durable, and they've got some range. So what's the catch? They have the new trait Stiff, which prevents them from doing any retaliation damage when hit. Ooh, that's kinda brutal. Juggernauts are designed to fill a similar role to giants on land, breaking stalemates, tanking damage, and dealing pain to their enemies. But since they can't defend themselves well, they'll need support from your other aquatic units to get the most out of them. I feel like giants would just get melted by rammers. 0 cost, I mean, I guess they do cost 0. Well, they cost a giant. 0 cost, float, carry, dash, stiff, 2 movement, 3 attack, 3 defense, 2 range. I am not sure if that's going to be that good actually, but we won't know until we try it, right? Okay, so here's more information on the bridges. This is something I'm really curious about. Added in roads, bridges cost 10 stars and are built in 1-tile water gaps between land masses. They'll function as roads for movement and city connections, and they can be sailed underneath. No, you can't daisy chain bridges together, they can only be used to connect land masses in one direction, and that direction can't be diagonal. Much like roads, they can also be built in neutral territory. Huh. Okay, so if you're just like separated by 1 tile of water, you can actually move your army to your opponent's army without even needing sailing, really. That's kind of cool. Gives you a different way to play the game. The market? Markets cost 5 stars and are the new customs houses. Oh, customs houses are gone. They will give you +1 star per turn for every adjacent port, but also for any windmill, forge, or sawmill. Oh, it gets income off of tier 3 techs too. Yes, you can now use markets on drylands maps, no ports necessary. Markets should allow you to squeeze out a few more stars for some clever city planning. I mean, even if you can use markets on drylands, I don't know if I ever would. Yeah, it's only +1 star per turn now. It's not +2 stars per turn. I mean, we'll have to play around with it. Yeah, these are definitely some interesting changes that I'm looking forward to trying out. Definitely gonna shake things up a little bit in terms of like competitive and whatnot. Okay, special tribes. We're now going to talk about the changes we've made to each of the special tribes to accommodate the new features. Since the regular tribes have gotten new units and have all been given faster access to water, we've ensured that each of the specials have gotten the same treatment or something equivalent. We plan to properly rework each of them in the future, so consider these changes to be a semi-temporary bare minimum changes until we can properly deep dive into each of them and give them the reworks they properly deserve. Okay, interesting. So this is more like temp stuff so that they don't get absolutely slaughtered by the new naval rules. Aquarion, oh god, love them. Sound the alarm, Aquarion has been given some love for the first time ever. Oh my gosh, our little water dudes are getting a buff. This is not an Aquarion rework. Okay, that's still coming. We have finally given them a starting tech, and one that should allow them to start taking coastal villages fairly early. Okay, Aquarion now starts with the riding tech and an amphibian. That seems pretty good. Crabs now have 2 movement in the water, and a thicker shell giving them 5 defense. Tridentians now have 10 HP instead of 15. Okay, yeah. That kind of needed to happen. I guess it'll force Aquarion to go Navy more, but previously if you played Aquarion, it was just make Tridentians win game, basically. So I think a Tridentian nerf needed to happen. Amphibians and Tridentians have lost the ability to use roads on land. Okay, so I mean, it's not just a flat Aquarion buff, it's more just tweaking them, which is fair. Illyrion, something is missing. Oh yeah, their Navalons are gone, aren't they? Because whales are gone. If you look at this picture, you'll see that this navy no longer has any Navalons. With the replacement of whales with starfish, the Navalon has gone the way of the dodo and has been removed. That's a major Navalon skill issue. Illyrion is still able to harvest starfish, as the star harvesting process does not harm the starfish. Scraping the valuable stars of the skin is actually a joyful experience for them, if you're concerned about the lore reasons for this process. Okay, happy little starfish guys. Nice. Polaris. Out of all the special tribes, the Polaris have gotten the most dynamic and drastic changes. In order to get them on the water as fast as the other tribes, we've done a big thing. Given the Mooney auto freeze. Oh, so it's basically like a Gami now, where you move it and it just freezes water. That seems pretty good. And wait, they have sleds and tier 2 tech now instead of tier 3? Oh no. Not to be outdone though, the other tribes have discovered how to break ice as part of a dash action. Oh, I see. So now you can move and break ice. That, I was gonna say that Polaris was gonna come out of this on top, but now I'm not so sure anymore. Like, Mooney's having auto freeze is really strong, but also being able to break ice after you move is also really strong, so we'll see how that plays out in an actual game. Mooney gained auto freeze and have lost the power to manually freeze and now have a defensive 1. Okay, interesting. Gami have lost the power to manually freeze. That's kind of annoying. The Frostwork tech now replaces fishing, which allows for Mooney. Oh no. They moved Outpost into ice fishing. Okay, never mind. Polaris got hit hard this update. Because with Polaris, you know, you would open up your game with double Outpost and, you know, basically get 2 upgrades for relatively cheap. So it was pretty decent, but now that's gone. You need to buy a tech before you can do that. Battle sleds are now in sledding, yes. Ice fortresses are now in polar warfare. They can also harvest starfish. Ice Bank now makes +2 stars per turn for each level up instead of +3. Okay, that seemed a little unnecessary, but maybe I'm wrong. Cymanti. The Cymanti haven't gotten much in the way of major changes, only putting the Raichi in their equivalent of sailing instead of navigation, which should make it easier to spread algae or assault navies. The placement of algae has changed as well. Don't worry, we'll be examining the Cymanti properly later on. Okay. Raichi are now in Pessitism. Is that how you pronounce that? Don't care. Which replaces sailing. Algae are in hydrology, which now replaces aquaculture. Oceanology replaces navigation and grants the ability to harvest starfish. What else has changed? Golly, this update's huge. Okay, there's a lighthouse apparently. A common complaint was how the Explorer task was too difficult and often ignored, so we changed it to find all lighthouses. Each of the 4 corners of the map will have a lighthouse, and each lighthouse will grow every time another player discovers it, and show who has seen it. Okay. That's kind of neat, actually. You also don't need navigation or an equivalent tech to get this task, as it will start the moment you find one. Oh, so you can kind of get an idea of what your opponent's vision looks like based on the lighthouses, and you just get the task without needing navigation. So it's actually a pretty good incentive to check out the corners, I guess. The network task is no longer tied to the roads tech. Instead, it will start automatically when you connect your first city. This is a tiny change, but it will make it possible to get that monument even on maps where roads are not needed, such as through ports. That's a nice change, I like that. Having to buy roads just to get the network monument, even though you already had 5 cities linked to your capital, was a little annoying, especially on maps like Archipelago where like it didn't really change anything. Good change in my opinion. Continents overhaul. That's definitely that's a cool looking map, yeah. I can dig that. If you weren't joking about Aquarion, you were probably joking about continents, everyone's favorite map to dislike. True. Well, we've completely rewritten the terrain generator for continents, hopefully turning it into one of your favorites. I mean, yeah, that looks like a pretty cool map. You'll now find that this map type will try to give everyone their own continent, or divide everyone evenly on a few continents, on top of a handful of other possible configurations. You'll also see some continents that are divided by one-tile rivers, which are good for bridges. Okay, good incentives to get bridges. There's a lot of variety in the new map type, and we hope you have a lot of fun. Yeah. I can get down with this. This looks pretty cool. And also see the lighthouses in each corner. Pangea. This is a cool look. Is this a new map type? Pangea is a new map type. All right, cool. I love it. Simply put, it's a large landmass surrounded by water. Like if you shoved Drylands and Archipelago together. Expect tons of fighting on the continent, but never be surprised if your opponent hits you with naval units. Both continents and Pangaea will prioritize placing capitals on the coast to hopefully balance out the need for both land and naval forces. This map looks amazing. I can't wait to try this out. This looks awesome. It's like tiny continents, but bigger. So yeah, based. AI improvements. Oh, thank God. We've made the AI smarter and able to use the new fancy water stuff. More importantly, they'll be smarter with their tech choices, and you should notice a much more difficult, crazy difficulty. We'd love to hear what you think. If it's not cloak spam, I'll love it. Okay, it looks like we're towards the end here. Some small balance changes. Uh-oh. We've heard your complaints about barter and rider roads meta. So we've made both lumber huts and roads cost 3 stars. Oh no. Changing lumber huts should slow down barter a little, and the change to roads now follows our philosophy of ensuring that you think a little before plopping a road down on every single tile. Holy cow. This is gonna completely change the game. I think, right? Barter rider roads dead? Question mark. My barter guide is already outdated. Oh my god. You guys ask, oh, Gully, why don't you make more guides? It seems like anytime I do, there's always an update that comes out that just trashes it, and then, like, I need to redo it. Ah, crap. Okay, the thing is, this doesn't just hurt barter, right? Who gets screwed out of this? Barter gets screwed, Yada gets screwed, Hoodrick gets screwed because, you know, they go lumber hut math, whatever. Venger gets screwed because a lot of players like to go math with Venger. I think Omaji gets hurt from this just because of more expensive roads. I mean, you frequently use roads to get city upgrades, or at least help with population. I think Illyrion comes out of this pretty well, just because they don't get huts in general. Their economy is just going to steamroll, I think. Imperius should still be viable. Sometimes you go hunting forestry with Imperius, but I mean, you could probably just get away with hunting and be fine. The roads hurts them, yeah, but I mean, the roads thing kind of hurts everyone. But yeah, I think Hoodrick is like unplayable now. Okay, on top of that, we've also removed Fortify from swordsmen, further differentiating them from defenders, which are now the definitive defensive unit. Okay, so swordsmen no longer get defense bonuses on cities. That's interesting. I guess it incentivizes a need for defenders. Most of the time it's just, well, why would I ever get a defender in this city if I could just get a swordsman? But now there's actually a reason you might get a defender on like a walled city. So that makes sense. I don't really have a problem with that. Last but not least, parks now make +1 star per turn in addition to their 250 point score bonus. Oh, so you now have a valid reason to take a park instead of a giant in domination or might. That is actually kind of interesting. So I mean, if you got a city way in the back that you're upgrading and like the giant that you get would never alter the game at all because it wouldn't even have time to get to the front line, I guess you could take a park. But at that point, why are you even upgrading the city? I don't know. We'll have to see how that one plays out. I can't wait to try out all this stuff. This looks really cool. The last step is just talking about how to join the beta. And apparently the game's on sale right now. It's 70% off. So if you don't have it on Steam yet, you can definitely go pick it up. We're actually really interested in hearing your feedback and will most likely make small changes like unit stats, art adjustments, or tech placement, based on what you have to say. Expect an extra long beta process with occasional patches, and remember to stay flexible and constructive. Okay, I think overall this update is going to be really cool. I mean, I don't really know what else to say from it. The meta's definitely getting shaken up here. I think Imperius and Illyrion definitely come out of this on top. Probably Kiku too, just because early water access, but I'm not actually sure how good the naval units are. I think on dry lands, definitely Imperius and Illyrion are probably pretty good. And then on any water-based map, obviously Kiku's going to be good. Imperius is probably going to be solid. Symanti. Unfortunately, though, I am all out of time for today. I still have some midterm stuff I need to get done for college, unfortunately. As much as I want to try out this new update, because this looks really interesting and really just like, I don't know, we haven't gotten a big update in a while. I'm hyped to try it out. Definitely subscribe, because I'll be making a bunch of videos on this beta. And yeah, if you enjoyed, hit the like button down below, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. And I will see you all in the next video. Have a spectacular day.